This is a very interesting topic that it's kind of concerning, so let's watch it. Oh, not this, guys. Not this. Goddamn ads.
At the Zhuhai Air Show, when China unveiled its GDF 600 hypersonic mothership model, its propaganda machine immediately went into overdrive. However, just as this was happening, India made a surprise announcement that it had successfully tested the LRHM long range hypersonic missile. The missile reached speeds of Mach 6, had a range of 1,500 kilometers, and could carry a 350 kilogram warhead, including tactical nuclear warheads. Even more impressively, it could perform terminal phase maneuvering, making it virtually impossible to intercept. In contrast, China's GDF 600 was just a lonely, cold plastic model.
To be honest, I don't like this because India and China don't have a good relationship because China keeps updating its map and taking borders of India, and yeah, and they're not allowed to use weapons on those borders. They all just fight hand to hand. It's a very interesting topic. Let's continue.
Which doesn't hold a candle to India's real, functioning missile. Indian media soon revealed more details, explaining that the LRHM is powered by a scramjet engine and demonstrated the stealth of a Himalayan snow leopard and the maneuverability of an acrobat. It's capable of penetrating air defenses by flying at low altitudes and could easily overwhelm current systems. India's hypersonic missile development is the result of years of work, starting with the BrahMos supersonic cruise missile and extending to its HSTDV hypersonic vehicle. India achieved significant progress in 2020 when they successfully tested the HSTDV, reaching Mach 6.5 for over 20 seconds at altitudes above 30 kilometers. These tests provided valuable data for future hypersonic cruise missiles. India's decision to test the missile in the Bay of Bengal is also significant. In recent years, tensions in the Indo-Pacific have been high, with China expanding its naval influence in the South China Sea and the Indian Ocean. The Indian Ocean is considered India's backyard. By developing a missile with a 1,500-kilometer range and terminal phase maneuverability,
Wow.
India is sending a clear message to China's naval fleet, warning them not to freely dominate the region. If India deploys such missiles in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Chinese naval forces entering the Indian Ocean will have to deal with the snow leopard missiles, potentially targeting them from above. Some Indian media even proclaimed once these missiles are stationed along the Indian Ocean and land borders, every move by China will be within our strike range. India's defense minister called the test a historic moment and expressed confidence that India is now able to compete with China on equal terms. This was a direct challenge, signaling that India is no longer a laughingstock, but a formidable competitor with real military capabilities.
I'm gonna be honest, guys. India should not be doing this. India should be worrying about its infrastructure on like cities and like railways and stuff like that. I don't understand why they're trying to build weapons of mass destruction. Like, come on, guys. Focus on the right stuff. Like, why are you guys focusing on nukes and missiles to destroy China? China, all it has done is make his territory livable. Like, like they got fucking jet railways. They're all connected, and now we got this little brother who never really cares too much about his infrastructure, is worrying about creating nuclear weapons. It's like, why is India doing this? This makes absolutely no sense. Like, why? Why does India need to go and create weapons of mass destruction? You're just literally asking for China to go to war or to threaten each other. And like, let's be honest, if India sends a nuke or two, and then China sends a nuke or two, say goodbye to the whole world economy because we're all gonna starve. Because that's pretty much where all the food comes from, India and China. And a couple nukes will send us into an will turn this earth into an inferno. So I don't understand why they're pushing for this. They're literally neighbors. Like, can they coexist? Can they do contracts with China and India to build themselves better roads instead of threatening each other with nuclear weapons? Like, sometimes I think governments are just so selfish. They care so much about staying as a government, but they really don't care about their people. Like, look how Indians are living. They have rats all over the place. They their trains don't even work. Their train system is just it's just absurd. They're overpopulated. They should worry more stuff about their own country than doing threats to the literally the most powerful country in this planet now. Like, okay, yeah, the US is very powerful, but in infrastructure, China's way more powerful. And then the army, China's way more powerful. They got more soldiers. Eventually China's gonna have more drones, they're gonna have more everything. They're gonna have robots, they're gonna have everything. And then India doing threats like this with their fucking ballistic missiles. Like, India should worry about its infrastructure before they want to go to war. That's my
India
opinion.
also benefits from alliances, technology exchanges, and possibly support from the US and Japan, shifting the balance of power in the region. China's ambitions in the Indian Ocean now face greater challenges. This bold move by India has not only excited the public in India, but also received support from anti China factions abroad. Many Western media outlets, which have long criticized China's behavior in the South China Sea and Indo Pacific region, see India's hypersonic missile as a game changer. Countries like the US, Japan, and Australia have been hoping for someone to challenge China, and now they finally have a capable opponent in India. This situation has left many Chinese netizens furious. Many have flooded online forums with criticisms, suggesting that India must have stolen technology from the US or that this missile is just a prototype and not ready for combat. Some have even claimed that China's missiles can easily intercept the LRHM. These
Like, let's be honest, when United States is like, just hear me out on this. When North Korea started showing missiles of mass destruction and then started bragging to the United States got really tense and they're like, "Yo, buddy, we're gonna nuke the crap out of you if you keep testing nuclear tests, you know." But China, this is a huge threat to China, like your neighbor is testing nuclear weapons to protect itself against yourself. Like, that's crazy, yo. Like, India should not be doing this. India should be like, I'll be honest, India should be like being nice to China and allowing China to help India with their infrastructure instead of threatening them with fucking nuclear weapons because of a little bit of a map dispute. To me, I just find it so stupid threaten each other. It's like, buddy, help each other. Don't threat each other.
arguments reveal a reluctance to accept that India has developed a legitimate long range hypersonic missile. For many, the idea that India can't do it is deeply ingrained in their mindset. The most bizarre criticism was over a missile launch tube cap visible in a video released by India. Some claimed it was a sign of poor quality and that the missile was carelessly constructed. However, the missile hit its target perfectly, and all flight data indicated it was functioning normally. Despite this, critics focused on the cap as if it were a major issue. This overblown criticism seems absurd, especially when other countries' missile
Came out
tests
with a Mexican
often have
hat.
similar minor issues that go unpublicized. Ironically, India released this video without any modifications, only to be mocked for it, while China is known for its heavy editing of such content. Some so-called military experts have stubbornly argued that India's supersonic missile is simply a modified version of its earlier Agni P rocket, with added wings and a glider, turning it into a hypersonic missile. On the surface, this argument may seem plausible, but in reality, it's a complete misunderstanding. The biggest challenges in developing hypersonic weapons are material selection, aerodynamic design, heat protection, and ensuring stable engine combustions at speeds above Mach 6. If any of these elements fail, the missile either won't launch or will disintegrate mid-flight. Clearly, India has spent years accumulating technological expertise, and success in such a complex field isn't a matter of blindly modifying parts.
As well as very interesting is like India's population is like 2 billion people. How can they not figure out nuclear weapons and missiles at this point yet? It's like they literally triple the United States population and they can't figure out missiles? It's like, come on, guys. You guys should know missiles since before the 2000. Like,
Arts.
I feel like India should have known nuclear weapons before year 2000, but they're falling behind.
Even if India did use existing technologies, achieving the missile's acceleration and maneuverability is still a significant technical accomplishment. So, rather than saying it's copying, it's more accurate to say that India's researchers have skillfully leveraged mature technologies, rapidly pushing them to the point of operational readiness. In contrast, China's GDF 600 is still just a model, with no clear timeline for its actual deployment. The real embarrassment for China lies in the fact that its military air defense systems have never truly been tested against hypersonic missiles. India's recent test, where the LRHM missile demonstrated its ability to fly at low altitudes, maneuver in the terminal phase, and possibly even target ships, presents a significant challenge to any existing air defense system. Looking at the situation in Ukraine, where Russia has deployed its Kinzhal hypersonic missile, Ukraine has occasionally aimed to intercept some incoming missiles with Patriot systems. But such interceptions are extremely difficult and often rely on luck. If the target is a missile like India's LRHM, which combines speed, maneuverability, and potential stealth, and is also deployed covertly, can any air defense system reliably intercept it? It's doubtful. And China's Hongqi defense systems in particular are far from proven in this regard. These absurd online jokes and rumors actually reflect the CCP's double standards in propaganda. The CCP never talks about its own failures, and even when it comes to imitation and plagiarism, it presents it as an independent innovation. However, when it comes to the progress of other countries, it relentlessly slanders them, claiming they must have stolen it, there's no way they could do it so quickly. The problem is, the CCP has been copying Russian and American technologies for many years, and in the past it used reverse engineering to develop a lot of counterfeit equipment. If it were to be honest, the CCP has no qualifications to mock others. A few years ago, they were boasting about the Dongfang 17 being invincible. But what about now? It has already been surpassed by the fast-paced breakthroughs of countries like the US and India. Not to mention that they constantly claim to be leading the world, but they can't even independently manufacture advanced chips. The CCP media always blackens India, and behind this is their deep fear of India's rise. India is the world's most populous country, with enormous human capital and overseas technological resources, along with the potential for economic vitality under a democratic system. India is now putting its foot on the gas, leveraging cooperation with countries like the US and Japan to rapidly develop space and military technologies. Meanwhile, the CCP, due to ideological and international political factors, is increasingly being blocked by the West, unable to make breakthroughs in key technologies, and internally focused on common prosperity and internal circulation. Once India truly gains a foothold and becomes a high-tech powerhouse closely aligned with the US and Europe, the threat to the CCP will be much greater than that from neighboring Russia. If India can continue to successfully test fire its hypersonic missiles multiple times and begin small-scale deployment within the next year or two, once the Indian Navy or Army places these hypersonic weapons in key maritime or border areas, a new variable will emerge in the India-China power balance. This variable may not immediately lead to conflict, but will likely affect negotiations and dealings between the two nations in the region, giving India a stronger bargaining position. In the more extreme case, if India, with covert technological support from the US, Japan, and even European countries, further improves its hypersonic cruise missiles and tactical nuclear strike capabilities, the geopolitical landscape in Asia will undoubtedly undergo.
This is another thing that kind of bothers me is like, why is India worrying about missiles and weapons and getting help from America and Japan with weapons? Like they should be getting help with their infrastructure, like their buildings, survival. Increasing their education. They should be focusing on the right stuff, like building better railways and fucking fast trains that allow Indians to live a better life. Why is the government spending money on fucking weapons? It's like you guys haven't even like created chips. They haven't created what more? They haven't created fucking super trains to allow to connect India, but they're creating fucking weapons of mass destruction. It's like who is in the right mind on the government of India? Why are you guys spending money on that? Spend money on building a better infrastructure.
Go a massive change. The CCP's sour grapes mentality and their tendency to amplify even the slightest weakness in others exposes the moral decay and twisted mindset of the CCP, while India also highlights its achievements. At least in the case of the LRHM test, they provided clear data on speed, range, and payload.
Like I'll be honest, this to me is a waste of money, a waste of Indian brain because let's just be honest. Let's say India sends a fucking Mach 6 missile to destroy a warship of China. Boom. China's warship gets destroyed. What do you think is going to happen? China is going to annihilate India. Like, they're going to come in with drones, they're going to come in with missiles, they're going to come in with jets, they're going to come in with more nuclear weapons. Like, what is India trying to do? It's like 100-pound man trying to fight a 300-pound fucking bodybuilder. It's like, what are you trying to do? Why are you? It's like someone shadow boxing trying to fight a 300-pound muscular man, or like let's say the heavyweight champion, and then there's the featherweight, and then the featherweight is fucking shadow boxing trying to fight the fucking heavyweight champion. It's like, bro, chill. Like, calm down. Focus about building yourself up before you start fucking suggesting war.
Payload, and even released video footage showing a relatively high level of
Like, worry
transparency.
about your
In
people. Don't worry
contrast, the
about war.
CCP continuously emphasizes how world leading it is, refusing to acknowledge its own shortcomings, and rarely releasing real test data for international experts to verify. On the other hand, India has already successfully launched multiple rockets, sending probes to the moon and Mars, accumulating a solid foundation in space technology, and now it's
I
making
just see this as
strides
a
in
bunch of waste of
hypersonic
money.
missile technology. The CCP is well aware of this, which is why they're so eager to label India with all kinds of negative tags. Returning to the LRHM test, from a technical standpoint, it's not like the CCP's hypersonic missile, which pursues high-end scramjet engines. India has been pragmatic. Although they tried scramjet engines in the HSTDV project, they realized that achieving maturity in a short term was difficult, so they decided to first use a mature rocket engine to send the missile to high altitudes. Then they use a rocket scramjet engine to achieve a speed of Mach 6, with excellent terminal maneuvering capabilities, along with a powerful warhead and low altitude penetration. In terms of practical combat, this is already enough to be highly intimidating. Once scramjet engines mature, they can upgrade the missile to Mach 7, 8, or even higher speeds. This strategy significantly shortens the development cycle, allowing India to take the
What a
lead in
waste of money.
hypersonic weapons and gain real-world benefits that can effectively deter the CCP. Looking at China, the Dongfeng 17 wave-riding hypersonic missile, launched a few years ago, was touted as the world's first hypersonic glide missile in service. But facing the American space-based interception system and glide-phased interceptors, its ability to penetrate in the future looks worrying. The Changjian 100, CJ-100, unveiled at the 2019 military parade, is believed to be China's hypersonic cruise missile, HCM, but its test records and deployment status remain unclear. As for the DFZF, also known as the WZ-8, a high-altitude reconnaissance UAV launched by the Dongfeng 17, while it is said to have a strong gliding and maneuvering capabilities within the atmosphere, its mass production and deployment status are similarly opaque. In other words, the actual combat effectiveness of these three hypersonic weapons is highly uncertain. Indeed, while the Chinese military's Dongfeng 17 can reach speeds of up to Mach 10, it's not necessarily easier to intercept than India's missile, which reaches Mach 6. It's not just speed that determines how hard a missile is to intercept. Sometimes higher speed, combined with poor maneuverability, can make it easier to intercept, while lower speed missiles with superior evasion tactics can be much harder to intercept. Moreover, the high speed of the Dongfeng 17 can sometimes be a disadvantage because it has to re enter the atmosphere before striking, unlike India's missile, which, while slower, stays within the atmosphere for its entire flight, following a shorter trajectory. This means that while attacking equally distant targets, the Dongfeng 17 might take longer than India's missile to reach its target. Furthermore, India will likely purchase advanced US air defense systems in the future, which will likely be much better than China's air defense systems. In this case, India's defense shield will be much stronger, while China's will be comparably weaker. This imbalance will
I
make it
doubt that.
difficult to claim that China's
I truly
Dongfeng
doubt that.
17 would necessarily prevail in real combat against India's missile. As for China's Dongfeng 21D and Dongfeng 26, which are claimed to be aircraft carrier killers, they are essentially medium range ballistic missiles. While they theoretically have some maneuverability in the terminal phase, the US Standard Missile 3 can already intercept them outside the atmosphere. The GDF 600 showcased at the Zhuhai Air Show is a hypersonic platform capable of launching a variety of munitions, including drones, cruise missiles, and subsonic missiles. However, it is still just a model, and no information has been released regarding any successful test flights. In previous years, they claimed to have tested scramjet engines, but no credible data or actual test footage has ever been released. Occasionally, there are blurry photos, but these have been widely questioned by netizens as being edited or staged. What does this all mean? It means that India's breakthrough in hypersonic technology has begun to challenge the CCP's narrative of absolute superiority and signals that a larger geopolitical struggle is about to unfold. India, with its democratic values and ties to the West, is likely to cooperate closer with the West in terms of military technology. This
I'm gonna be honest, guys. I don't understand why is India supporting the West. India should not support the West whatsoever. It's gonna be the same story what happened with Ukraine and Russia. Like the West should just not get involved. Like, dude, they're literally neighbors. It's like China convincing Canada to go to war with United States. Dude, why? You're literally neighbors. India should ask help to China. Please build us a better infrastructure. Like, look, let me show you something very, very important. This is India's railway. This is what India's transportation looks like. Look at this. This is India's transportation. Look at that. Look at that. Do you really think it's fair for the people of India to the Indian government to worry about nuclear weapons and missiles? They should put funding on their better railways and better infrastructure. Look at China's infrastructure. Let's just look at this. This is China's railway. This is what they were able to do in 12 years. They connected all their country together. And India has doesn't even have one high-speed railway. Like you're literally neighbors. Why don't you China do contracts with India and they help each other instead of fucking threaten each other because the West is whispering in their ear? It makes no sense to me. It just makes it literally. I literally just said it. It's like Canada. It's like China trying to fucking in, influence Canada to go to war with the U.S. Let's say the Canada does decide to create nuclear weapons and missiles to fucking threaten the US. You know what US would do? They will come in and kill us. Because USA doesn't want to get threatened. They just want to stay as a superpower. So it's better to be friends than enemies. I really don't understand what's wrong with India. India should literally bow down to China and ask for help to help out with their infrastructure.
is exactly what the CCP fears, losing the opportunity for equal technological exchanges with the outside world and losing
I understand that yes, China's a dictatorship. They're not very good with human rights. I understand. But we understand one thing. China knows how to build a good infrastructure. They know how to build good cities. They know how to build sustainable cities and healthy cities for the citizens. They know how to build good transportation systems. They know how to build good uh bridges to connect cities. Like, it's like, dude, you literally have an engineer right beside you. Ask the engineer for help. Don't fucking give them fucking threats. India should become really good friends with China, and they should help each other.
Losing control over public opinion. If a real conflict breaks out, China will not only face the US, but also India, along with many other countries allied with India. Meanwhile, China's own economic situation isn't looking so optimistic. With local
It's
debt,
like the
the
US has nothing to do with China. Like, why is the US getting involved? This is the problem with the US. They get involved in all the political problems. You know what the US should do instead of getting involved? They should fix this. If they really wanted to help out, look at this. US should focus on this. Look at these. Look at their fucking subway stations. Their subway stations are disgusting. Instead of worrying about war, they should focus about their infrastructure and helping their people. Like, this is this is the US metro of the most successful city, New York. And yet they're going and spending all their money on weapons of mass destruction, nuclear shit, and to be and deterrence, but they can't even spend a penny on helping their own citizens move around the city. It's so selfish.
real estate crisis and rising unemployment slowly tearing away.
If the United States will put, I don't know, a 10% in their infrastructure on funding from what they put on their military, the United States will be doing so much better now. Like, how much do they spend? Like $60 billion a year just on military stuff? How about you spend $10 billion on fixing your metro?
At the CCP's illusion of prosperity. On the battlefield, it's uncertain whether the CCP will be able to assert its dominance. From a strategic perspective, if India continues to conduct further technological tests and iterations, revealing more details like precise hit rates, warhead types, multi platform launch capabilities, and methods to evade radar warning, this would be even worse news for China. It would mean that
Yeah, and that will make China want to invade India and and create this massive problem. India should just be friends with China and help its infrastructure. Like, I'll tell you 1,000 times that India is focusing on the wrong fucking aspect of community.
India isn't just aiming to develop a concept missile, but is truly aiming to create mature long range hypersonic strike capability. If India successfully develops a truly mobile launch platform, even deploying it into a mountainous area, jungles, or naval vessels, then China's aircraft carriers won't be the only ones at risk. The entire western region of China and Pakistan might face sleepless nights. The balance of power in South Asia and the Indo Pacific could undergo a seismic shift, and China's western cities or military bases may find themselves in jeopardy in a real conflict. The fact that the LRA SHM can achieve a speed of Mach 6, complete terminal maneuvers, and execute precise strikes at ranges of over 1,500 kilometers or even farther proves that India has entered the hypersonic missile club. It's no longer just the domain of China, the US, and Russia, nor is it a rare skill possessed by only a few powerhouse nations. Moreover, India could upgrade this missile to a cruise variant, an anti-ship version, or integrate it with projects like BrahMos 2. Once a comprehensive multi-layered hypersonic strike force is formed, no one in South Asia or the Indo-Pacific region will dare to underestimate India's military power. India's urgency to develop hypersonic weapons is also inspired by the real-world effects of hypersonic missiles in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Although the Russian Zircon missile may not have changed the course of the war, it has certainly caused significant headaches for Ukrainian and NATO air defense systems in terms of penetration capabilities. Additionally, the ongoing border tensions between India and China create a potential for conflict, and if India can gain the upper hand by deploying hypersonic weapons first,
Okay, let's just be honest. India doesn't have a chance. I don't even know why they're trying to fucking create deterrence with China. Let's just be honest. Let me show you something. This is China, and this is India. You see that border right there? They're literally neighbors. Right here, too. They're neighbors here. If they go to war, we're not talking about 100 million death. We're not talking about 700 million death. We're talking about just 2 billion death. Almost 30% of the world population is gonna go to war. Why? Because India wants to do threats to China. It's like, buddy, be friends with China. Ask China to help you with their railways. Ask China to help you with building better infrastructure. Don't start fucking fighting your neighbor. This is what happened with Ukraine. Like, look, Ukraine and Russia. Ukraine is absolutely destroyed. Look, let's look at this. Ukraine is destroyed. It's been flattened. Do you want that to happen to India? And I'm telling you, India has a much smaller, much larger population. Like this area has been destroyed, annihilated by Russia. I don't know, maybe not. Okay, well, I can't really see. Maybe they're not updating. Anyways, I find India doing deterrence with missiles. I see it as one of the dumbest things they could do.
First, it could pressure China into making concessions in both the border region and the Indian Ocean, making it more difficult for Chinese aircraft carriers to operate freely there. At the same time, India is applying pressure on Pakistan. Given the long-standing tension between India and Pakistan, the possession of hypersonic weapons that are difficult to intercept could give India the edge on the Western Front. The public outcry following India's LRHM missile test is not just about the missile itself. It's a reflection of India's rising technological strength and China's double standards in its propaganda. The indignant and dismissive comments from Chinese netizens seem more like an expression of panic and an unwillingness to accept the reality. No matter how much they criticize or make excuses, they can't hide the impressive achievement that India has delivered at this moment. India's shocking hypersonic missile test not only showcased its technological advancements to the international community, but also served as a wake-up call for those who underestimated them. The global military technology competition is not a monopoly of a few nations. Any country with enough determination, resources, and international cooperation can achieve breakthroughs in the defense industry. Undoubtedly, this represents a major turnaround in India's national image. True strength is more convincing than slogans and propaganda, and India has now definitively proven this point. As the saying goes, running fast doesn't necessarily mean running far, and loud proclamations don't necessarily lead to powerful results. The outcome of this technological race won't be determined by slogans or model displays. The public slap in the face that China received from India at the Zhuhai Air Show may just be the beginning. The arms race surrounding hypersonic weapons is only going to intensify, and the key test for China will be whether it can match India. From what we can see now, China's position doesn't
Whether
look
it can
strong.
match
The
India.
sting from the slap in the face is still simmering, while India is already prepping for its next leap forward in technology. China's bluster will ultimately be exposed step by step in the face of reality.
It's like I don't know, man. I feel like China is very nice to its neighbors because, like, North Korea, they test nuclear fucking missiles. United States is right on their ass. Just be like, bro, you keep testing that, we're gonna nuke your ass. That's how United States reacts. China is like, all right, yeah, you test your fucking Mach 6 ballistic missiles, and they don't really care too much. They're not giving threats of nuclear fallout upon their country. It's as well as like I feel like they should worry more about Pakistan, but these two countries should not go to war because if they do go to war, the food supply on the whole planet is gonna become so scarce. It's gonna mess up everybody. It's not just gonna mess up can United States. It's gonna mess up everybody. So, and my suggestion is United States should not get involved with India at all. They should not even sell weapons to India because that's literally you're literally doing the same thing that Russia did to Ukraine. United States started selling weapons to Ukraine. They started putting bioweapons in Ukraine's front line. And then Putin just got sick and tired of all these deterrents the United States kept fucking forcing Ukraine to do because it was part of NATO, and ended up fucking up everybody in Ukraine. Now the women are fighting. It's disgusting. It's sad. Russia and Ukraine are just fighting, 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 and it's all because of the U.S. influence. They should have just U.S. should have just kept their they should have just they should have just stayed. And I've never had a problem with Russia. Russia helped us against World War fucking two against the Nazis. If it wasn't because of Russia, the Nazis would have killed most of Britain, France, Italy. They would have fucked everyone up. Forget about the Holocaust. The Holocaust would have been executed. And th- and thanks to Russia, the Nazis didn't prevail. Okay, maybe the United States would have came in and dropped some nukes, but at the same time, I find dropping a nuke on a fucking civilian city is disgusting too. Like, imagine fucking let's be honest. Imagine China would have dropped a nuke on New York, or a nuke on fucking on New York. How would you feel if in 1 second United States just gets annihilated? But United States did that to another country, and to me that's just extremely disgusting. Like, Japan had, okay, yeah, they did a little kamikaze in Pearl Harbor and they attacked the United States. I understand. It was horrible. But that doesn't justify of dropping two nukes on Japan. Like, it was horrible. And now United States is influencing Ukraine, and thanks to United States, Ukraine is at war, and now United States is going to start influencing China and forcing China to go to war with India because the United States is like, yeah, yeah, get those ballistic missiles. Yeah, we'll fund you with nuclear warheads. Yeah. And China's just gonna get sick of that, and then they're gonna fucking go to war with India. And then what's gonna happen? There's gonna be a nuclear fallout, and then everyone around the planet is gonna starve. And this is the problem, is that if India keeps doing this shit where they're just testing weapons after weapons instead of focusing on their infrastructure and building better roads, building better fucking railways, building better cities, that's what India should be worrying about. Not about building fucking ballistic missiles to threaten China. China, like I said, they're the heavyweight champion. You shouldn't let a fucking featherweight threaten a heavyweight champion. It's just gonna go bad. That's all I'm saying.